Hello, my name is Hope from the platform of eSeniors.org. eSeniors is a non-profit organization that provides virtual companion for seniors from age 60 and above. Virtual companion is basically designed to provide emotional support for seniors who feel lonely and isolated from their communities. And this is done remotely through the usage of video chat technology. So today, I want to specially welcome you all to today's book reading section. We have been reading a book from Alex Ageye titled The Unexpected Joy at Dawn. So we've done several chapters. So we are going to be starting off from where we stopped. Listen as I read. Someone pulled Aaron from the floor and he yawned. Fire! Get up! Get up! The person said. The confusion and heat in the room had woken many people already. The house is burning. KK was already rushing through the smoke. The door area was still burning. Someone had broken parts of the wall and many others hurried through it. Those boys were too stupid, someone said as he rushed out. Quick, the Ajajugo came from all, someone said, and have put the building in flames. There was a fight, Keke said, but do one waited to ascertain the truth. But do one waited to ascertain the truth. It's not making sense to me. He led the way. Most of those in the room had lost their property in the fire. They feared that the police would be attracted by the fire and come there. No one was prepared to wait to answer questions that might be posed to him or her. Where are we going? Asked Aaron. Where it will be safe, Keke replied. You see, at worst, we could go to the Habon or Seme. The flames traveled in the sky, but it was getting far away from them. I told you the Ajaguda would come. They sealed and where they failed to seal, they destroyed. Aaron felt uncomfortable. He had 2 naira on him. The moment Keke had given to him and they were not sure. Keke would pay their fare to the border at Seme. Neil drew near him. Let's go to Ijeshi, he whispered. We could get help if I meet my sister. Where is Ijeshi? Asked Aaron. Neil did not answer. Keke, who was a little ahead of them, stopped and was waiting. I have an idea. There is a friend of mine at ABC. He's not far away from here. With luck, we will get help. He's away. He's about 40 minutes walk from here. It's a 50-50 chance he will be there. We we could wait there until morning and continue to the border from there. You have lost your bags, Neil said. Everything is gone. Just let that. My radio and television, everything. You're still in clothes. KK, you must change into something else. And KK stopped again and looked around and dropped the items on his chest on the ground. Quietly he folded the cloth. There was a small black bag among the items he was holding. He removed an old pair of trousers and a shirt and put them on. It was when he bent down to take the bag and the items on the ground that he realized that he had brought the radio too. Let's go, he said. They followed him. ABC is a neat place, and that friend of mine is reliable. Life can be hard, he said. I don't mind. I have lost much property, but once I have life, I'm okay. It's a damn disturbing experience we are going through, but there is life. Keke spoke. This was with such conviction that he looked really brave and philosophical. The trio walked along in the confidence of Keke's philosophy until they realized that they had missed the way again. They had come to a road. A car was speeding towards them, so Keke advised that they should leave the road and turn into a small lane. Behind them, a military patrol team stopped by the lane and reversed. Keke suggested to the others that they run. The electric light had gone off and the semi-darkness covered them. Keke stopped abruptly in the dark. "That's the place we have been looking for," he said, pointing to a house by the road. They walked on, looking around once in a while. 6 kiosks lined the street. All were closed. A gutter ran along either side of the street, filled with all sorts of ailments: empty Coca-Cola cans, pepper, loaves of bread. Neil looked at the loaves of bread carefully. They were all soaked in the drain. He was hungry and weak. The rest of his colleagues were far ahead. He trailed slowly behind them. They turned left after the sixth kiosk. A smaller gutter led into a house and they followed it. A tree was on the compound, but the left side were a number of doors. The branches of the tree and leaves spread over the roofs of the building. 3 old Best tricycles were parked under the tree. A vehicle was passing by. It was an Army Land Rover. Its light lit the building, which made them hurry into the compound. The Land Rover moved slowly to the billboard. It waited at the edge of the small gutter that led to the house and stopped. The inscription for ABC written on the billboard was not clear because of the dust which had blown against it for the past several years. Four was an army lieutenant. He was tall. 2 journalists who were monitoring the arrest of illegal immigrants in Lagos were in the area. The Army Land Rover attracted them, and they walked towards it to where their house number 4 ABC was. Another young army officer alighted from the vehicle and walked towards the tree in the compound. He stopped when he saw the journalists. "What do you want?" he asked them. "From the press," one of them answered. "And what does the press want? Is still early. Why are you here so early?" "We have been covering events in the APC suburb of Lagos." One of them, who held the camera and was propelling it upward in readiness to take pictures, said, "Why worry carrying all this machine around?" "Sir," I said, "we were from the press." "You think I don't have ears? Are you Ghanaians?" asked the officer. "Citizens and journalists," they echoed together. "Why then do you run after us down here, with that worry and anxiety on your face, as if a brother of yours were in here and you had to save him?" "Why? We are covering the news for—" Before he could finish the statement, the officer shouted at them, "For whom are you doing it? Who says his brother about this?" The people want to know what's happening to these people. People, which people? Tell me who? We do what all newspaper men do. Take the news to the people. The officer laughed. Fools, get back or you regret it, he warned. The cameraman adjusted the lens of his camera. He liked the posture of the officer, who was moving towards them. He clicked to subtle as the officer raised his hand upward towards them. You lie. You will take no pictures. You hear that? I say no pictures. That's an order. Keke and his friends saw the soldiers and looked around for a hiding place. Keke had jumped a wall on the right and knocked on his friend's door. His friend, who had then opened the door in response to the knocking, let him in. The three soldiers rushed in on the fugitive. The carpenter was arrested as he hid in a bathroom. The cameraman rushed to capture the scene in the house, but the officer blocked his way and held him by the hair, pulling him upward. Neil wandered blindly forward. The officer was talking into a walkie-talkie, and the second journalist took two quick pictures of him. You fool! The officer shouted, turning to the cameraman. You grabbed the small camera and hit it against the wall. That will teach you sense, he remarked. The second journalist rushed on him angrily. The officer pulled a pistol and pointed it at his face. Neil took advantage of the scuffle at the entrance of the house, ran past the bathroom and jumped outside. Two of the soldiers were there. He toiled humbly like a pupil before his teacher. The journalist's second camera had been crashed too, and the two journalists tried to put the pieces together. They ignored the pistol pointing upward at them. They stood their ground courageously, the best they could, but the intimidating harassment of the officer and his team put them off finally. When their cameras destroyed and the officer all over them, they reluctantly turned towards the tree. It was a cold morning, the daylight still lurking, fresh, new, and innocent. The army officer established his authority. Get into the vehicle, quick, he ordered. He had made them sufficiently aware that he had to be obeyed, so they accepted it was so. The law would deal with them. He asked them whether they were not being foolish breaking the law. He was pleased when they answered that they were. His pleasure shone and he smiled. That was to be taken as a gratuitous offer from their cooperation. Neil jumped into the vehicle and fell on his bag. The early morning mist looked like small white flocks when the car lights shone through it. The five people in the Land Rover were silent. Traffic was smooth until a few kilometers to the Badagry road. They entered the traffic jam. Those who were making the journey to the border and the airport hedge camp had besieged and taken much of the road. At the junction, two drivers who had tried to outsmart each other on the road and had crashed their vehicles fought furiously to satisfy their punctured pride at the failure of their zeal to show their driving dexterity and control of the road. Perhaps if a policeman arrived at the scene, he might be able to calm the situation. No one else intervened. They relished in that self-help to control the road. All oncoming vehicles stopped. Passersby waited, boomed or applauded. It added to the confusion on the road. When Keke lifted his head, he saw his friend sitting among them. It was his idea that had thrown them into that mess. And though no one complained, he was saddened by the conviction that he had made problems for his unsuspecting friends. He acknowledged it, being beside himself with the depression of his own guilt. He wished the rest were not there. It was hell, he thought. He had promised to give Neil hope, but that was never to be. He felt so guilty and disturbed, unable to apologize or speak. He bowed his head, shaking it to show his self-disdain and sympathy with his friends. None laid blame or consoled or speculated as to where they were going. They did not have the freedom to do that. The news about the riot at Eba was reported in the morning papers. Mama exceptionally rescue work was also reported. Palio was excused that morning. He had things to attend to. His senior officer agreed with him that family commitment was crucial and took first place. He approved his leaving with alacrity and saw him off with much sympathy. What Palio would forget at his peril was the last word spoken by the officer. The work had to be finished with he told him. So he was to report back soon. Palio did not remember the journey he made as he rushed to Ijeshi to see his daughter. He was introduced to a woman who had temporary custody of his daughter. She took a good enough woman to him. As for the stories about the woman's rescue exploit, he did not understand much of it. His wife dead now, he pleaded with Mama to take care of the child until he sorted himself out. He had got the report from the police that his wife could not be rescued. He supposed she got burnt in the fire. His building was also burnt, save portions of the walls, which though broken and carrying marks of the bombs, stood firm and indicated where the building had once stood. He told Mama how grateful he was. "I'm very, very grateful, Mama, Madam," he said, "and shall forever be in your debts." He asked to be forgiven if he seems curt and unreasonable, but there was work to do. He said that he would come back and show Mama real gratitude. He would adore her and proclaim her his personal God-sent savior. What would he have done if Mama laid not save the little image of his mother for him? He would come back and tell her his fear of and love for God. He would recommend to everyone to do what was good. Mama said that she agreed entirely with him about the do good bit. Do unto others as you want them to do for you. She told him. He was so profound in his praise of and thankfulness to Mama. It was not only Palio who was there for the unofficial investigator. I think it's investiture of Mama with the Holy Cross or something like that. The pastor too was there in flesh and blood, for he could not get flowers immediately. He needed to do something for goodness sake and to show his gratitude. He praised Mama to the sky, saying she was selfless. She had risked her life to save others. After saying all that, he settled in one of the chairs. As the conversation and praise slacked, Mama told the gathering what details she thought necessary, but there was things that she did not know firsthand. The one whose legs were burnt died. The pastor informed Mama, adding the chairman will be all right. A meeting of the members of the church council will come off tomorrow. He proposed that the meeting should write a report on the incident to the headquarters of the church. With the secretary injured, only 4 of the council members were left, and the meeting was to take place in the evening. He declared that he would immediately visit those who were injured and were in hospital. "You know," he said, you are a brave woman. Never mind that we were at war not long ago. I assure you, the chairman, who came around in the middle of the night, has indicated he was dropping every objection he had to your marriage." A cry interrupted the pastor's confession. Mama stirred and dropped the feeding bottle and it hit the floor. "Oh, that's the child. That's great, great," the pastor said, and went on to pick up the child as she crawled onto the sofa. Mama laughed heartily. "I'm dropping dead now," she shouted. In fact, she didn't She didn't. Many vehicles were stranded at the border. It was past the 25th of the month, and all those aliens not yet out of the country were forbidden to leave. A new order by the government directed all such persons to go to the Hajai camp near the airport in Lagos instead of the Siren Badagry border post. Many trucks were already stranded at the borders of the country. Many people had already gone to or had been taken to the Hajai camp to await further directives. Neil stood by a wire mesh that shielded him from outside. The officer who had brought them there had gone back to continue the search for aliens. The ground was bare and firm. Several people were arriving at the camp gate to join those already there. The airport building that housed the control tower was a mere 2 minute walk from the Hajai camp. Merely looking that way made Neil terrible, tasty for no reason he could give. He had to have water. So urgent was his need. "Water, water, I need water," Neil shouted. A thin elderly man looked at him, yearning to say something, though he looked away from Neil when he made his cry for water. But he was obliged to look back in Neil's direction and give him advice. "You must be dreaming, my boy," he said to Neil. "Some of us have been here for 3 days already and have had no water or any food." The man spoke with such finality. His face was so hard. Neil disregarded him and continued shouting for water, but it was useless as nobody took any notice of him. He looked around for some other comfort. A tin cat lay by a lady who sat quietly nearby. It engaged his attention. He walked to it and held it, roughing its brownish fur filled with his fingers. He felt a cooling down of his hot desire for water. He seemed happy now and forgot his friends. The carpenter had met a relative and disappeared among the crowd with him. Neil got up, holding the cat he had now picked up. He looked around and around, obviously searching for nothing. "Who are you looking around for?" he heard Aaron ask him in a husky voice. "Hey, you, of course," he responded, walking to his interlocutor. Aaron was seated. Neil sat by him. "The cat," Neil said, "it is so thin and is affecting me badly." Aaron started to laugh, but he was seized by a by a bout of coughing. He coughed for a long time. "Are you serious?" he said at last, when the cough had ended. "Look at us two." Neil let go of the cat, which fell with a ton on the ground. This is where we're going to be ending today's book reading section. Till we meet again in the next one. Thank you so much for listening, and bye bye.